Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the C-Store Insider Podcast, where we bring you all the tools, the resources for your business and professional needs. I'm Darren Jaime, and listen, every week we come with a new podcast bringing you different information, things that can help you to advance your business, information that maybe you don't even know about. But that's why we have this podcast, because we want to make sure that you're armed with the information and then also to answer some pertinent questions. Well, today, I'm going to talk about, yes, cash advances. And I'm pleased to have Ari Buckman here with us. And Ari, good to have you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Looking forward.
Thank you. And so listen, when we talk about this particular item and we talk about the fact that we're talking about cash advances, a lot of people have some questions about it. I want to take the time to really delve in some things. And so when we talk about NRS, how can NRS really help a business in this area?
So there are numerous ways in which NRS can help a business. Most of our merchants have either a POS system or they'll also have credit card processing. And being that they're our platform, so that allows them to be merchants that will be selling items, primarily in C-stores, in bodegas, etc. What we have found is that these merchants have come to us and said, you're providing us a great service. At the same time, I can't grow my business because I don't have the financing to get there. I know that if I'm able to increase my inventory by 30%, I'm going to double sales. I know that I may have a bodega, but if I open up a deli and now I can do some takeout, that's going to increase my business. I know that I'm running 2 shifts, but if I can get a 3rd shift and I can keep my store open 18 hours instead of 12 hours, then I can increase my business. But all of these issues require capital. So where NRS funding comes into play is where we provide our merchants with immediate capital. They can get it within 24 to 48 hours, and it allows them to adjust and to be flexible with their business needs so that when a situation arises, they can do it at that time. And there are certainly other ways to acquire and to achieve financing, but other ways are more cumbersome, and we'll get into it a little later, I'm assuming. But the easiest, fastest, quickest way is to work with a provider and a partner that you're already working with. It's being that we're doing your POS system, we're doing your credit card processing oftentimes. So we'll provide the financing, and now you have a one-stop shop for all your back-end office. Like I tell all our merchants, you know how to run your business. We know how to run the finances to make your business even better.
Yeah. Ari Buckman is the Vice President of NRS Funding, and we're glad to have him here on the C-Store Insider Podcast. And I'll throw this question out there because a business will ask the question, is my business eligible? What's the eligibility requirement for a business?
So the basic eligibility is a minimum of 6 months in business. If it's smaller than that, meaning shorter, 3 months, it'll be very, very difficult. We do not provide for startups. Preferably, it should be a year old. And in essence, about $5,000 a month in deposits on a monthly basis. That's just straight out deposits. And those are pretty much the 2 main things you have to worry about: time in business and deposits. And the reason why that's important is because there are statistics that up to 70% of new businesses don't make it through. And we're not a seed company. We're not looking to help merchants start a business. We're looking to take merchants that are functioning and active and take them from A to B to B to C, etc. So the criteria for us is an active business that's got preferably at least 6 months. We'd like it to be a year with at least $5,000 a month in deposits. And if you have those minimums, then we can certainly look at the business and take a look and see if we can do something.
We know that when you deal with banks, sometimes you got to deal with a whole lot of paperwork. But when it comes to this particular process, walk us through it. Is there a lot of paperwork? Is it deeply involved?
Well, I hate to disappoint you, but it's not going to be a very long walk because it's not. The process is pretty simple. It's a 1-page application. You fill out your basic information, really, about the store and about the merchant, just so we understand who the merchant is and where the store is, tax ID, where the location, basic stuff, and then 3 months of your most recent bank statements. So for example, we're now in mid-July. We require April, May, and June. A one-page application, April, May, and June, and that's it. We're not going to require a P&L. We're not going to require banks, financial forecasting or any other types of marketing plans or any type of financial statements or tax returns. Literally just the last 3 months of bank statements and a one-page application. We tell our merchants it should take 10 minutes to do, and oftentimes you hear that and it seems like a marketing phrase, but in reality, the time it takes to fill out a one-page application and to go to your online bank to download 3 months of statements and put it and send it, literally will take you 10 minutes. And that is pretty much all that is needed to get upwards of $100,000, $150,000.
And so when we get the money and a person gets the money, talk to me about how spending goes. What am I allowed to spend my money on?
You can spend the money on anything you want to spend it on. It's your money, and you can do with it what you want. Now, what we tell our merchants, and what our merchants usually use it for, is what I think is the number one reason would be inventory, because inventory to me is the lifeblood of any small business, and especially when looking at NRS, where we focus on the bodegas, we focus on delis, we focus on vape stores and on liquor stores. It's all about merchandise and inventory, and especially in the liquor store where just getting a pallet of a certain type could run into the tens of thousands. Many of these merchants don't have the cash to do that. So now they're going to have to order that net terms. They may have to finance that. They may have to order less than they wanted. So what we're saying is take this advance. The cost of the cash is way less than what you'll be selling it for afterwards. And we're giving you a much longer period of time to pay it back. And plus, especially in the times of supply side shortages, it's hard to get inventory altogether. So we often tell merchants, just go to your vendor and say, I got $5,000 cash. I want to go ahead of the line. I know you got other suppliers and people and vendors to send it to and other merchants, but they're going to pay you net 30, net 60. They may have credit issues. They may be working on financing with the bank, which does take weeks, if not months. I can give you 5,000. I give you 10,000. I give you 15,000. Give it to me tomorrow. And we find that a vendor will much rather give a merchant money when there's cash as opposed to having to go through the issue of, dealing with financing or waiting for a merchant to get financing. And the other thing that would be important for it, like I said before, is improvements to the store, whether it's to make it look nicer, whether it's, in my opinion, the best thing is to increase the revenue streams, whether that means adding a deli, whether that means if you're adding a certain brand of, if you're a liquor store, adding maybe a wine section, a little more of a higher class one, maybe adding, obviously different chains and different providers, and it's really the opportunity to expand the store. The thinking is take the money so you can expand the store. And quite frankly, the last thing we say is as for working capital, especially with the economy now, with the way that inflation is going up, what could have managed to pay for bills before may not pay for bills now. But your business is a good business. It's been around. And we know inflation is transitory. It may not be as transitory as we want, but it is transitory. So you may need an influx of $20,000 just to get you through the next 6 months, just because inflation's gone up, everything else costs 10% more, and it's going into your margins. So you want to have that extra capital just to kind of keep the cash flow, keep it from being prohibitive from the growth of your business. So those are really the main focuses. But at the end of the day, that money is not restricted to any one specific topic, and it can be used for anything within your business that you, as the owner, feels is the best way to apply it to secure future growth.
Sometimes you're stuck with the option of, do I go out and get a bank loan? Because a lot of businesses say that's the best way to get ahead. Take that bank loan and go ahead and do it. You're talking about cash advances. Give me the benefits of having a cash advance versus having that bank loan.
So I would say that the three major advantages of having a cash advance is, number one, we don't focus on credit. The bank is hyper-focused on credit. And right there would probably be enough, because when you're in business, it only usually takes only one or two. It could even be an honest mistake. It could even be a disgruntled old partner. There's usually something along the way that will make it that the credit will be just low enough that the bank won't accept it. For us, in the cash advance, credit is not an issue. Now, to be honest, it doesn't mean that credit's not taken into account, but it's not the deciding factor. We don't do a hard pull, but we do want to at least make sure that the merchant is not, in our background check, they don't have a bankruptcies, they don't, or at least they're still open, they haven't defaulted in the past on other cash advances, but the credit in and of itself, as opposed to a bank, is not the focal point of the advance, of the determining factor as to getting the money. The other point is, as we discussed briefly earlier, the process is so much simpler. We've done it where the application comes in at 10 o'clock, the merchant will have $50,000 in his account 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It could be seamless to the point that's the same day. We've done that. It's not just talking hypothetical. We can do that. A bank, you're lucky if it's done within weeks, and it could be months. Depending on what they're looking for, what bank, how much you want. It could be they're going to want tax returns. The tax returns could go back a couple of years. They could want financial statements. They could want P&Ls. They could want it to be, even if you give it to them, they could want it to be signed off by the accountant. It could take just 2 weeks to get your accountant to even get his attention to sign off on it. And that is another problem with the bank. And the last thing, and this is really, I think, what gets underrated with the importance of a cash advance, is that what makes a business flow, and a small business specifically, is the flexibility. Like what makes the bodega corner shop successful as opposed to a larger operation is their flexibility. They can change, they can adapt. They know their market, they know their merchants, they know their purchasers, they know their industry, they know their neighborhood. They need the flexibility. It could be seasonal. It could be, I know that it's coming up a certain holiday season, I'm going to have to get XYZ stuff. A bank, even if they would get a bank loan, those terms are typically 3 years, 5 years. Once you get that money from the bank, you're held up 3 years, 5 years, so you can get more money. With a cash advance, I can get you money on a rotating basis. I can fund you 3-4 times a month. You may know that, okay, and it's going to be super busy in December for the holiday, so I need to get $20,000 of inventory. I know it's going to be quieter in September, so I only need maybe $5,000 just to kind of help pay some of the bills. And then I know, again, it's going to pick up around Thanksgiving. Around then, I'm going to need another $10,000. You're going to go to a bank, you're going to get $20,000, and that's going to hold you for 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, whatever the terms are. So we provide the flexibility that a bank wouldn't. So again, just to recap, we are certainly much quicker, certainly much easier, and we're certainly much more flexible to give you more money to help you with the growth you need when you need it on your terms, as opposed to getting the money on the bank terms, which oftentimes by the time they get it to you, your need has passed, and now you just got a debt that you're paying back for that's not accomplishing the goal anyways.
Yeah. All right, Buckman, I got to thank you. A lot of information here. Vice President of NRS Funding. Talking about today, how do you deal with that cash advance? What's the difference between a cash advance and a loan? Why a cash advance is so important to having for your business or your organization when you're really trying to get over that hump. We know a lot of people got supply chain issues, a lot of things that businesses are going through, and sometimes a cash advance can make all the difference in the world. All right, thanks a lot for joining us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, sir.
All righty. Well, we want to let you know, Darren Jaime here. You've been watching the C-Store Insider Podcast. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you more information to help your business more manageable, to help your business to grow, all the needs that you have, all the resources at your disposal. We try to bring those things to you right here on the C-Store Insider Podcast. And we thank you for joining us. We'll see you real soon.